Here's some of the creepiest videos on the internet, part 10. The popular American rapper XXXTentacion was murdered on June 18th, 2018, and his death broke the hearts of many. Many people visited his memorial to leave gifts, but some people captured much more. The YouTube channel The Fam recorded a video trying to communicate with this beloved rapper, but accidentally captured this. But someone else got a lot more than this. The YouTube channel Selva the Explorer got to speak with him through her spirit box. Here's some things he had to say.
What is your favorite song that you ever recorded? What's the name of your favorite song? Are you in the white light? Is there anything else you want to tell us?
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, part 22. In the 18th century, you could bring your cat or dog to the London Zoo and actually pay your admission by feeding it to the lions. Bus seats are specifically designed so you can't tell how dirty they really are. When an octopus reproduces, it removes its penis and throws it at the female so she can impregnate herself, and then he grows back another one. Oysters are actually alive when they're served. They don't die until you eat them. In Australia, there's a plant called the gimbi gimbi, which has such a severe sting that when horses brush up against it, they actually throw themselves off a cliff because they would rather die than experience the pain. Live chat support agents can see what you type before they send it so they can reply quicker. Spider rain, yes, you heard me right, is a real and naturally occurring phenomenon.
Not all jump scares are cheap, so here are some jump scares in horror movies that scared the living hell out of me. First up and starting off strong is Host, and I feel justified that this is one of the scariest movies out there because it's been proven by science. And for this being like barely an hour long, it packs so many scares in here, but the one that truly gets me is the very final jump scare. It's the one where Gemma and Haley are the only two left, everybody has died, and they're trying to get out of the house to get away from this demon, but they can't see anything because all the power is off. So the only thing they have is a camera flash to light the way. Because I was anticipating like, oh, it's gonna happen by like the third flash. And then when it doesn't happen by the third flash, you're like, okay, it's definitely gonna happen by the fourth flash. And it doesn't happen until like the fifth or sixth flash when the demon comes straight at you. Scared the living hell out of me. Next up is Oculus, and I absolutely love this movie. I love anything that Mike Flanagan does. It's the scene where young Kaylee is going up to her mom's room because she's realizing that her dad is like totally possessed by this mirror now. And she's like, okay, we need an adult's help. And she goes up to her mom's room and she doesn't initially see her, but she sees like a broken vase or something on the ground. So she goes to reach for it, but then all of a sudden her mom like pops out at her. She's chained to the wall. She's acting like an animal because she's also possessed. My soul almost left my body. Next up is Hokum, and this is a new movie, so just a heads up, this will be a spoiler. There are so many scares that got me in this one, but the one that I wasn't anticipating at all is when Adam Scott's character is stuck in the honeymoon suite and he's walking from one room to another and he crosses through that hallway, and as he's crossing, his dead mom's like ghost is following behind him. I didn't see that coming and I shot out of my theater seat when it happened. And last but not least, Obsession. This is also a new movie, so heads up if you haven't seen it. I feel like the jump scare that got everybody is the scene where Sarah and Bear are in the car and Nikki comes out of nowhere and slams through the window. But the one that truly got me and made me audibly scream is after the party at Ian's house when Nikki and Bear are arguing, and all of a sudden she's like crying and screaming, but then the music stops and she starts like robotically walking backwards. I have never seen something so terrifying. I've watched this movie 3 times and every single time that scene gets me.
If anyone tells you to play Phasmophobia, please do not listen to them. I would wake up, get on the game, look outside my window and it's daylight. I take one blink, I look back and it's now dark and it's nighttime outside. I thought I retired from playing the game, bro. This game got me hooked again. What type of crack did they put in Phasmophobia? That's not even the worst part, bro. Listen, I would get off the game, right? Get ready to go to bed at like 3 in the morning. I start hearing stuff around my house. I start hearing footsteps. I start hearing banging on the walls. I start hearing my EMF reader going off, and I'm not even trolling. But I can't stop playing Phasmophobia. This is worse than playing like Baldur's Gate or Spider-Man or 2K. Like, it's something about this game that's throwing me off, bro. And I'm telling you not to play it right now. It's just I need to catch the ghosts. I don't know what it is. It's just a game where you walk in a house and look at ghosts. Why is that so addicting? It's like I need to hit level 20. I need to upgrade my flashlight and my EMF reader. I can't really explain it. It's like it has a hold over me, bro. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to say it again. If you're thinking about playing Phasmophobia, do not play it unless you want to lose your life to the game.
Reddit user Xander101 said that when he was in his late teens, him and his family were living in a remote region near the Four Corners. His parents were pastors at a local church in a very small town. He said that ever since they moved there, locals had warned them about skinwalkers. One night, his brother and his brother's friend came banging on his bedroom door in a state of panic. They said they saw something on the patio, walking near the windows. They heard noises, and when they looked, they said that they saw the top of a white, bald head. He said that his brother was a huge liar and that he was skeptical and annoyed, but he still decided to grab his jacket and his flashlight, and the three of them went out to the patio. He said that it was always creepy at night because it was always so dark, and the only light came from a nearby lamppost a few yards down the street. He stepped out to the patio, shining his flashlight in the yard, but saw nothing. He said they started to hear the crunching of leaves coming from the front yard, so they went into the front yard. He said the front yard was huge. It had apple trees and one large creepy tree in the corner of the yard that he said he always stayed clear of for some reason. All of a sudden, he said that he saw something white walk behind a tree near the wooden fence. He said the three of them walked slowly to the tree. Before he knew it, he said he heard a loud whoosh sound and felt a gust of wind, like something had flown past them. His brother screamed out in pain. When he looked at his brother, he saw that he had 3 large scratches across his chest. Scared and shocked, his brother ran back inside the house, leaving Xander and his brother's friend. He said it all happened so quickly, but he ran towards the street where he was sure that whatever it was had gone. They heard the sound of feet running down the road, so they shined the light, but never saw anything. Xander said that he whistled a tune, and then he heard something whistle back to him. It was the same tune whistled back. All of a sudden, he said they heard a male voice say, "Hey kid, come here." That's when, without hesitation, the two of them bolted back inside. He said that he's never forgotten that encounter, but his brother
The man smiling in this photo was arrested after hunting down and brutalizing pedophiles, earning him the nickname, the Alaskan Avenger. As a kid, Jason Vukovich was sexually and physically abused by his stepfather Larry until he ran away from home at the age of 16. Larry was charged with the abuse of a minor but never served any jail time, and as the years passed, Jason grew haunted by his stepfather. He reached a breaking point in 2016 when he decided to use his state sex offender registry to track down criminals, break into their homes, and beat them with a hammer. In 2018, Jason was sentenced to 28 years in prison and has since come out apologizing for his actions. He says that vigilantes have no place in society and warns that just because your past was taken from you, you shouldn't ruin the future that you have ahead.
This serial killer wax museum is something straight out of nightmares. So I was recently traveling throughout Italy, and while in Florence, Italy, I came across a serial killer wax museum. The place is literally called the Florence Serial Killer Museum, and if you visit this museum, you will see wax figures of some of the most horrible people that have ever walked the face of the earth. This includes the monster of Florence, Pietro Pacciani, famous, I guess, Italian serial killers who I had never heard of, and various other serial killers from throughout Europe. They even had a wax figure of James Holmes, the Dark Knight theater shooting. This whole experience was incredibly disturbing for me. I actually visited this location as a part of a documentary that I was filming, and I can honestly say that I have never seen anything quite like this. I also learned a lot of stories while there, like the story of this woman who actually killed 3 women in Italy and turned one of them, at least one of them, into bars of soap. They had an Ed Gein exhibit, and yeah, after doing some further research, this place is incredibly controversial in Italy, and yet when I visited, it was very busy. I cannot honestly say that I've ever seen something quite like this, but this is video proof that this place does exist, and it is in Florence, Italy.
What does the boiled one want? Like, what is his goal? So I've been doing a lot of research because this has been stuck in my head, bro, and this is what I found so far. So this is Job Zamperini, and he was one of the victims of the boiled one. And as you well know, if you're a victim of the boiled one, you get like sleep paralysis. You can't move. The only thing you can move is your eyes. So since he was a war vet, Job was able to use Morse code really good. And this is the officer right here interviewing Job in his bed, and he's communicating with Morse code. So as the interviewer was talking to Job, he was asking him like, what's going on? And essentially what Job was saying was like, yo, this dude is just in my head. He said he hears trumpets and screaming voices constantly. He actually said that he's in the window right now, but the officer was like, oh, I don't see him, but Job was like, he's right there. As you can see here, the boiled one does actually appear in the window, and he says, I can see you, and he starts talking to the viewer, or at least it's implied. Towards the end of the video is this strange image, and if you translate this in the bottom, this is what it roughly said. I'm reading off my computer, but it says, fear the one and only Watanabe bird. In real life, Watanabe was a war criminal that used to torture POWs. And if you watch the movie, this was him right here. And Louis Zamperini was one of his victims. And you know, they made Unbroken about his story. And I realized that him and Job has the same last name, Zamperini. And the boiled one name is Watanabe. So my whole theory is this is the soul of Watanabe, and he's trying to torture Job Zamperini. I'm guessing his universe's version of Louis Zamperini is Job. Comment below what you think.
You know it's a real-life house of horrors when a dead body in a freezer isn't even the worst thing police found behind the door. Before we get into this case, I have a bunch of deep dives over on my podcast, The Bourne Investigation, and I post a new episode over there every single week. It all started in March 2015 in Detroit with a knock at the door. Bailiffs had shown up to the home of Michelle Blair. Now, she was a single mum in her 30s, and everybody really felt for her in the neighborhood. It felt like she was doing the best that she could in really crappy circumstances. She struggled to pay the bills and even put food on the table for her 4 adorable children. Her first baby dad just up and left with no explanation and no child support, and her second baby dad was in and out of jail. Michelle didn't have big career dreams. She didn't want fancy things. Her only real passion in life was being a mum. She would plaster photos on Facebook. She'd always be posting quotes about how much she loved being a mother. Everyone was like, it's such a shame that she's struggling so much financially. And then when people saw the bailiffs knocking at the door, they were like, oh my god, this woman can't catch a break. But when the debt collectors opened the door, they yelled out and got no reply. The house was eerily quiet. It was echoing. There were brightly coloured children's drawings on the walls, but the rest of the house kind of seemed terrifying. There was empty bottles just slung in the sink, what looked like human hair. It clearly had not been cleaned for years. Where the hell was everybody? There were supposed to be 5 people living in this home. The bailiffs had a job to do, and they presumed, right, clearly nobody lives in this house anymore. Nobody could live in this state. It's obviously abandoned. Let's start moving the furniture. And they started moving things, but one thing that just wouldn't shift was a big chest freezer. They were like, this is so heavy, we need to actually probably empty it before we move it. When they opened it up, they locked eyes with the body of a child. And that was not even the worst part. Police were called to the scene, and they started taking horrifying crime scene photos of this body in the freezer, a teenage girl. And when they looked a little closer, they realized it wasn't a body. It was 2. Underneath the girl was a frozen little boy. 13-year-old Stoney and 9-year-old Stephen were dead. Where the hell was everybody else? Well, all this commotion at Michelle's house started causing quite a fuss in the local neighborhood. And it just so happened that Michelle herself was a few doors down babysitting with her 2 other children, the 2 children that hadn't been murdered. And police were like, I don't know what's going on here, but she knows something. Now, very quickly, Michelle confessed. And I don't know about you, but what she did next is even more shocking to me. She was arrested, and her 7-year-old and her 17-year-old were taken away, thank God. And the autopsy showed that her 2 victims had been tortured, slapped, punched, strangled, burned, forced to drink window cleaner. She admitted that the little boy was killed first. She choked him with a belt. 9 months later, her daughter Stoney received the same fate. Her other 2 children had to just carry on their lives as if their siblings hadn't been murdered. Absolutely horrific. Imagine the absolute terror they must have felt. When she pled guilty in court, she told the judge, "I don't feel remorse for the death of those demons." Honestly, wild.
Ashley Zhao, the 5-year-old little girl found in the ceiling of her parents' restaurant, and the truth is even darker, so let's talk about it. This unfortunate story takes place in the city of Canton, Ohio, in the restaurant by the name of Ang's Asian Cuisine, ran by Ashley's parents. This Chinese restaurant is ran by Liang Chao and Miming Chen, both parents of Ashley Zhao. Ang's was the spot. Everyone in Canton knew that this was a local Chinese, family-owned and ran restaurant. It had fast and affordable and delicious hot food that was out in the matter of 10 minutes. Not only was this restaurant quick, fast, and affordable, their menu was massive. And this sounds good in hindsight, but the locals found it a bit suspicious because this restaurant was only running off 4 employees: mom, dad, and Jojo and Ashley, their 2 daughters, which are 6 and 5 years old. This was the only bad thing about the restaurant because locals stated that walking into Ang's and picking up your food was its own experience, and it was a great one. People stated that the parents seemed like they were raising the 2 little girls really well and that they were going down the right path. The girls always had a smile on their face. They greeted the customers with such love and compassion and just friendliness. Ashley caught the eye of most customers that walked into Ang's because of her smile, her love and passion to speak to people and just to learn. She seemed just like a small, caring, loving, curious little girl. January 2017, 911 dispatchers get a phone call from Liang Zhao, Ashley's father. Liang lets the 911 dispatcher know that him and his wife have been searching for Ashley. They are frantically looking for her. He lets her know that the last time he saw her was around 3 or 4 p.m. after he came back from picking up his oldest daughter, Jojo, from school. When one dispatcher asks Lian where the last place they saw Ashley was at, and he tells her that the last place was in the restaurant. He also tells her that all 3 of them saw her asleep. Mom, dad, and sister saw her asleep at the back of the restaurant. Keep in mind that he kept telling the 911 dispatcher that all 3 of them saw her asleep, okay? All 3, including Jojo. And I do have to let you guys know that Lian has a very calm demeanor throughout this phone call. He's very calm and composed, and this is not raising a lot of red flags just yet. It just sounds like a panicked dad that is trying to control himself to find his daughter. It's not raising any type of suspicion just yet. Lian proceeds to tell the 911 dispatcher that this day was just a casual, normal day. There was nothing out of the ordinary that was unusual or out of place. They had their typical dinner service. They were busy as always. Informs the dispatcher that it's only 2 of them running the whole restaurant, mom and dad, and that it's a lot. It's a workload on them. They have to do everything. They run the front, the back, the kitchen. They clean. They do everything. So it was a busy day, but it was nothing that they couldn't handle. During dinner service, they got busy, so they did not check up on Ashley in the back. In the back of the restaurant, there is a nook. This is very important because this restaurant has its kitchen, and then there's a nook, and then there's a back door. This nook in the back of the restaurant is just basically like a little cutout at the back in the wall, and it's big enough to fit a child, okay? Ashley and Jojo loved that nook. They used it to either just hang out or to take naps while their parents were working. The best way that I would explain it would be a cot. It's very small, it's easy to overlook, but it's big enough for a child to sleep and be comfortable in. It has its typical blankets and pillows and stuff. That was the cot that Ashley Zhao was last seen sleeping in. She was last seen around 3 or 4 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock, the parents were closing down the restaurant. So they were cleaning, they were picking stuff up, and they were ready to go home. So they went to find Ashley's coat to put it on her, to get her in the car. And when they had their coat, they walked over to the nook, and she was gone. She was gone from the last place she was seen. Thankfully, from the moment that Ashley was reported missing, Jackson Township PD acted up so fast, they issued a statewide child alert for the whole state, and by the matter of hours, Ashley's face was everywhere. She was plastered on TV stations, studios, newspapers, articles. She was everywhere. The people of Canton, Ohio were frantically looking and searching for her. In moments like this, it's when community is the most important, and this is really when the people of Canton showed up. They showed up and they treated this case like if Ashley was their own daughter. They wanted to find her alive and healthy, and they were doing everything in their own hands that they could do. I do want to preface that during this time of year, it was very, very cold in Canton, Ohio. The temperatures were almost freezing, and this just added another layer to the panic and the desperation for all the people looking for her. As expected, the police officers questioned the parents, and one of the first things that they asked the parents were, "Can we please have footage of your security camera system?" Parents unfortunately told the police that they did not have any type of security or camera system installed at their restaurant, and that they had been running this restaurant for the past 6 years with no issues, so they never found a motive or a reason why they would even install any type of systems in their restaurant. After further investigation, there was no type of evidence that would prove that an intruder came in and took Ashley, so that was ruled out really fast. There was only one more question, one more possibility. Did Ashley Zhao wake up and wander off by herself into the freezing cold temperatures of Canton, Ohio?
I bet you didn't know that the youngest person ever executed by the electric chair was found innocent 70 years later. George Stinney Jr. was only 14 years old when he was executed by the electric chair. In 1944, deep in the South, police came for George. He was a child. His parents weren't home. They handcuffed and arrested him. 2 young white girls had been murdered. June Binnicker, age 11, and Mary Emma Thames, age 8. They claimed George and his sister were the last ones to see them alive. They then took George and interrogated him without a lawyer present, without contacting his parents, and they claimed he confessed. But there's zero documentation of a confession ever happening. His sister said they were out tending to the cows when the girls were murdered, so George had an alibi of where he was. The trial only took 2 hours. The jury deliberated for only 10 minutes, and they found George guilty. The lawyer he was assigned didn't fight for George for a second. He didn't try to appeal the sentencing. He called 0 witnesses to the stand. It's like George's fate was already decided before the trial ever even began. George's family couldn't even fight the conviction. They were terrified that everyone else in the family would meet the same fate, so they had to quietly endure this pain for 70 years. When the case was finally reopened and the verdict was thrown out and George was found innocent, his living family members celebrated, but they were still heartbroken because it happened. It was only 84 days after the conviction that George was sent to the electric chair. He was barely 5 feet tall, so he didn't even fit properly in the electric chair. The straps were too loose. He had to sit on books to make him tall enough. When the switch was flipped, his mask fell down, exposing his face. The face of a crime.
Yes.
If you look at these photos of this beautiful expecting mother, you wouldn't think anything of it.
But that's where you're wrong. Taylor Parker seemed like your everyday pretty country girl born and raised in small town Texas. When she met Wade Wilson, they seemed like this happy, loving country couple, but their worlds were absolutely rocked only 4 months into their relationship when Taylor found out that she was pregnant. Taylor loved attention and she seemed so happy to be pregnant. They did the gender reveal, they did the maternity shoot. But as her pregnancy went on, there were red flags constantly popping up that something just wasn't right. And right as people in her life started connecting the dots, it was time for Taylor's due date, and that date came and went. On October 9th, 2020, a state trooper pulled over a distraught and panicked Taylor for speeding. Just imagine the shock on the officer's face when he looks down and sees a newborn baby in Taylor's lap, and Taylor is screaming at him that she just had her baby on the side of the road. She's rushed to the hospital where doctors take a look at her and they see that her story just isn't adding up. I'm sure by now you've seen everyone talking about Netflix's newest true crime documentary on this case, Maternal Instinct. This isn't just a documentary about deceit, this is about the dark and disturbing lengths that Taylor Parker would go to keep up with her web of lies. They interviewed real people, family, friends that lived through this case, and some of their experiences were chilling to listen to. I've known about this case for a while. I even covered it before, but I learned so many new wrinkles to this story from Maternal Instinct that I had no idea about before watching. It was definitely one of the most twisted and emotional true crime docs I have ever seen. I would absolutely recommend checking it out on Netflix.
Here are some serial killer facts from the deep, dark depths of my brain. Jeffrey Dahmer didn't eat people with tattoos because he thought that it made the flesh taste funny, so should this be a unanimous opinion among all people who eat other people, here is your excuse to go get your next tattoo. This is Pee Wee Gaskins. Now, Pee Wee drove a hearse around that had a bumper sticker on it that said, "I haul dead people." Pee Wee, in fact, was hauling dead people around in his hearse, and the fucked up thing is he told his friends that that is what he used the hearse for, and nobody believed him. And he claims to have killed upwards of 110 people. So, yeah. This dickhead, otherwise known as Richard Chase, otherwise known as the Vampire of Sacramento, would not attempt to break into people's homes whose doors were locked because he took it as a sign that he was not welcome. Lock your doors, girlies. Dennis Rader, also known as the BTK Killer, was a technician who installed security systems, a lot of the time for people who were afraid of the BTK Killer breaking into their home. This twisted motherfucker, Ed Gein, is actually not a serial killer, as he was only convicted of 2 murders, but he did grave rob 9 graves, mutilate all 9 corpses, and made their body parts into various objects, one of those being a nipple belt. As tempting as it is, I'm telling you, don't fucking Google it. Yeah, we all know this guy, but did you know that Ted Bundy worked at a suicide hotline? Don't love that. Also, no, he's not hot, you sick fuck. So most serial killers have a lower than average IQ, which you think would be self-explanatory because you have to be some kind of weird dumbass to kill people, but at the same time it poses the question, how the fuck did some of them get away with it for so long? Now, you may assume that serial killers are loners, but actually the majority of them have partners or families. So next time your partner goes out somewhere and you're worried about them cheating on you, now you have something else to worry about. And finally, around 70% of all known serial killers are American. So do with that information what you will.